Finally, Clemson Sports Talk has come back to Drive Time. Hello, everybody. Lawton Swan back in the saddle. Once again, it is the show that shakes the Southland. Clemson Sports Talk for you each and every afternoon as you make your way around the great state of South Carolina and beyond, listening to us on incredible radio stations like Fox Sports Radio 1400 in the Midlands, heard around the world on the iHeartRadio application. Download it today. It is free. The website, put the .com on it. Doggone it, that's ClemsonSportsTalk.com, where right now, if you head over to the site, we've got a really good article up on Peter Woods for our premium subscribers. That's why is that word so hard to say sometimes? Our premium subscribers. 803-450-0086. Again, if you want to check that out, you can head over to the site right now and be a part of what we do each and every day. You'll find great topics. If you see the premium symbol there, that means you got to be locked in. $1 for 3 months, $63.17 for 1 year. You can go vote in our poll about Clemson, our Kaufman's fan poll. Is Clemson still in the Atlantic Coast Conference by 2025? Got some news on that front for you today, not necessarily for Clemson, but for a contemporary in the ACC. You've got great audio interviews like this one that you can tune in and watch. Awesome free articles like the one about Cade Klubnik. And then our Paul Print section, which lets you see like the most popular stories in the past couple of weeks. A news and notes section, premium forums, and Twitter not loading for some reason. 803-450-0086. Text line, phone line. Be a part of the show anytime, any place, and anywhere. So a couple of quick things that I want to get to here on the program today, and I want you to think about this before you chime in. So I was watching the documentary, right? We're number one about Clemson winning that national title in 81, and I talked yesterday at length about trying to climb that ladder again and get back to the top of the sport you and I and everybody else loves. And again, it is incredibly difficult. There's nobody denying that fact that to climb the mountain and get to the top, to peak, is oh so difficult in these sports that we love. And there have been many great programs in the history of the sport, the likes of the runs that Oklahoma and Nebraska had at one point, the success of a Southern Cal or a Notre Dame. Maybe it's a Florida State or a Miami for you. Maybe there's another team out there that is, in some respects, deemed to be one of the quote-unquote all-time greats. And who is that team for you when it comes down to the world of college football? And additionally, who is that team that you think can climb that mountain again? First, who's the next man up when it comes down to being a team from, it doesn't have to be yesteryear, okay? Just recent memory, who rose through the ranks and has done, or you believe will do a good job getting back to the top. 803-450-0086. You should be able to call us. Let us know if you have any issues with the audio and or the video here on the program today, as we are excited about doing the show live for you here on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. On Twitter and Instagram at Clemson Sports. So that's the easy way to follow us. And sometimes, oh no, Wolfgang says, Swanee, we got to work on your rock impression. Yes, Wolfgang, I will apologize for that. I don't quite get into it as much as I would when I have to do the show live because I'm worried about so many things. So for you, Wolfgang, finally, Clemson Sports Talk has come back to Drive Time. Hello, everybody. There we go. How's that? Was that better? Did I do better, Wolfgang? Yeah, it's really more the intro here when we're now because I'm seeing everything else that's going on that I have to keep up with during the program. Somebody said this to me today. They said, Swanee, you look like you coach Duke football. Is Duke Nike? I think they are. I know their basketball team is. I'm assuming their football team is as well. But yeah, I am rocking the Duke Blue, if you will. And again, thank you for being a part of the program. So come at me, come correct. Who is that team for you that you think will be the next all-time great that wins a national title? Now, if you talk about advantageous positioning, it's got to be Notre Dame out of that list of teams that I've kind of run off to you. I mean, Notre Dame's got an advantage simply by being positioned where they are in the AP and the coaches poll. And although the AP and the coaches don't decide who wins the national championship, where you start helps. And I am not naive to that fact. And you shouldn't be either. And you shouldn't be ashamed of it if you're a Tiger fan being ranked fourth. You should embrace it and embrace the opportunity, because anybody that is coming after you and saying, oh, man, you guys just get lucky because of the conference you play in, has not focused on what the Atlantic Coast Conference looks like this year versus, say, what Georgia is facing this year. And again, I'm not going to be the guy that's going to try to sell you from top to bottom the Atlantic Coast Conference versus the SEC, but I will sell you the ACC Atlantic Division this year versus the SEC East. The thing that the ACC's got to do, they got to go out and win. I can't remember if it's 27 or 32 games, whatever that number is. The games that the ACC plays against Power 5 competition, they've got to look the part. Because if you don't look the part, then it is incredibly, incredibly difficult for people to take you seriously. And that's one of the things that Clemson has faced, even though the Tigers, when they've had to and been on the biggest stage, have performed really well against a team like Alabama, who most people would say is the elite of the elite, the cream of the crop, the creme de la creme, so to speak. But if you look at it from the advantageous standpoint, most likely to succeed, right? If this is your yearbook from 1997, most likely to succeed is probably Notre Dame, because they're near the top of the rankings. Oklahoma with Brent Venables, you got to go back to 2000, the last time that the Sooners won the national title, and they've been a perennial champion for many years. Nebraska, you got to go back to 1997, and of course, Nebraska had that little stretch in 94, 95, and then split that title with Michigan in 97, where they were, in that conversation every year. Tom Osborne had that thing running like a sewing machine, and you did not want to run into the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Miami, all of their titles that they won in the 80s, can they, with Mario Cristobal, would they be the one for you? Florida State's got 3 titles. Florida has 3 titles. Southern Cal, now maybe a trendy pick for people because of the way things have worked out with Lincoln Riley landing there from Oklahoma. Like, simply on that move alone, I have to, if you said, Swanee, who wins the title first, Southern Cal or Oklahoma? I love Brent Venables. You love Brent Venables. But I think it's probably Southern Cal over Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma and towns like Norman and towns like Lincoln, Nebraska, Midwest city schools, I think they are going to suffer some of that same fare that the teams in smaller markets like Clemson and Auburn and others are going to suffer, in the fact that NIL opportunities and dollars are much larger in markets like Los Angeles, markets where there are tremendous cities built around the program. Miami. I even think a school like Houston, once they get into the Big 12, I think any city with a significant amount of people in the metropolitan area stands to benefit players more so than smaller college communities. It doesn't mean those smaller college communities cannot keep up. But looking at that list, like just my hunch on all of this is that Nebraska, Oklahoma aren't going to be the ones, kind of because of their geography. When those teams were really dominant in the sport, the landscape, the coverage, all of that was just completely different. It was a newspaper era. It was a time when scholarship limits weren't a thing in a lot of respects. And coaches could go out and bring in whoever they wanted. And you just had these corn-fed Midwestern offensive linemen, hard-nosed, dirty knuckles that were coming in and playing the sport. And they were able to compete. They were just country strong. And now that every high school program and every small community in America's got strength and conditioning and all those things, the advantages have shifted to the city folk, so to speak. And major farm equipment has taken away the time that Billy had to wake up at 4 a.m. and go out and milk 25 cows before he, did his work on the family farm. Now that there's machines that do all of that, and Billy's playing Xbox. And then you've got these other kids in cities and places where the enhancements of speed, strength, and agility courses and things of that nature have ramped up opportunities. And so I think that larger cities, Miami, Southern Cal, on this list specifically for me, I would favor and lean in on. Who is the team for you, the all-time great, multiple national titles, that you think will climb up to the top of college football and bring home a national championship? And this is a sport that since the inception of the college football playoff back in 2014 has been dominated essentially by Clemson and Alabama. Yes, you've had Georgia win a title. You've had LSU win a title. You've had Ohio State win a title. But it has pretty much been Clemson and Alabama. But who is that other great team on the outside looking in that you tend to lean in on and say, I think they're going to be the next all-time great that wins a championship? For me, I think it's Southern Cal. And I know they probably, out of Miami, Florida State, Notre Dame, Oklahoma, and Nebraska, probably outside of Nebraska, have the longest journey to get back. Maybe they're ahead of Miami with Mario Cristobal. But I think that in this day and age where Lincoln Riley is a young, fresh-faced offensive guru at a program that is as historically tradition-rich as any when it comes down to championships, when it comes down to Heisman trophies, when it comes down to the market that they are in. The one limiting factor on Southern Cal today, in my opinion, the number one thing for Swanee that would preclude Southern Cal from pulling this feat off is their shift into the Big Ten. And it has nothing to do with travel. It has everything to do with matchups and how long it takes for them to be built and play like and better a Big Ten team. Now, if we've learned anything from our past, it's that Missouri and Texas A&M left the Big 12 and went into the SEC and pretty quickly saw some success. So it doesn't mean that it's going to be a 5-year window for Southern Cal to adjust to a new conference and a new way of play. As a matter of fact, I think their style benefits them and gives them an advantage against a lot of teams in the Big Ten. But I think on that list, and maybe you've got another team, maybe, I didn't bring up Florida. I mentioned they have 3 titles. But I think on that list, for me, Southern Cal, the fanfare, the flavor of the month with a young guy like Lincoln Riley. Now, if Lincoln Riley turns pro, leaves, that's where we are now. That's where I am. He's turning pro. If he leaves to go to the pros, then maybe they take a little bit of a back step. But I think that, to me, of that list, Southern Cal's the trendy selection. 803-450-0086, text line, phone line. Savage Dog hanging out with us today. His Bulldogs, they climbed it. Now, Savage Dog, you're not going to like this next take on that front. I don't consider Georgia an all-time great program. They've been a very good program for a lot of years. I would not consider Clemson an all-time great program until they just did what they've done. And that, winning a couple of additional titles. Like if Georgia wins it again this year, next year, Savage Dog, my tune's changing on that. I'm throwing you in that all-time great category. But I can't do it today. Regardless of the amount of success they've had. I can't do it today. But he says, Swanee, Miami is on the way up. They put together a staff that will recruit elite. And if you happen to watch ESPN's 30 for 30 on the U, right, you know this. They can recruit within 30, 45 minutes of downtown Miami, every player on their roster, and be a really good program. But when those tentacles lock down on South Florida, and then expand into your home area, South Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, Texas. That's when Miami becomes a beast that is incredibly difficult to tame. And they've been that. And they've won a lot. And they finally got a guy in there. And I almost hate saying this because it makes it sound like I'm talking down about Mark Richt. But Mario Cristobal coming in, getting rid of the turnover chain, trying to change the focus. Rethinking who they are as a program, I think is huge because he's a guy with 2 titles there. When we interviewed him at the ACC kickoff, he was incredibly gracious and humble. One of my favorite interviews we did at the ACC kickoff was with Mario Cristobal. Again, maybe I'm missing the school. If I am, let me know. Like Texas fans, you want to be in that conversation. You are not one of the all-time greats. No matter how many times you guys say, we're back. Wrong. I've got Miami, Florida State, Notre Dame, Southern Cal, Oklahoma, Nebraska, Florida on that list. Who's the next all-time great to win and then hoist a national championship? 803-450-0086. I heard an interesting nugget, if you will, off of the heels of the We're Number One television show. I'm going to give that one to you because I did not realize this. Wait till you hear this stat when we get back. Stay with us. All right, Savage Dog. What's going on, man? Thank you to everybody who's hanging out. Like, share, subscribe. Let me cut up this segment. Let me get it uploaded into the queue, and then we'll come back. So if you're with us yesterday, this is one of the longer breaks. So I will put you guys in a break, and we'll be right back. right, guys, we'll be back in just a second. Almost done. I gotta admit, this music's kind of soothing. Ooh, just under the just barely made it. Rocking and rolling along with you, the show that shakes the Southland, 803-450-0086. Text line, phone line. Phone lines are open. So if you want to give us a call, you can. I can't guarantee that thing's not going to ring here on the air. It might, but we'll see. We'll see. If you want to call and talk about it, we can do that. Again, talking today about just your thoughts on who are the great programs. If you're watching, retweet, share, whatever you got to do. But if you are watching the great programs in college football today, keeping your eyeballs on them, who is that team? Who is that team that's out there that you believe will climb back to the top of the mountain first that was once a great? Who is that team? Let me know. 803-450-0086. That's a text line and a phone line. And again, it is always available for you. That's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I was actually going in to try to share it because I had to get everything uploaded. Coming up in hour 2, John Blau will join us. I guess we'll get a chance to test the guest line, if you will, with John coming on the program. And also, if you want to give us a call, and I did just get a call, but it was like it said spam. So if that was you, text me, let me know, and then I'll figure out what I got going on to make sure that you can get in on the program today. Which all-time great will be the first to win a national title? I'm going Southern Cal. I think this narrative, again, shifts for me if Lincoln Riley leaves to go pro, leaves to go coach in the pros. Because, I mean, at that point, like you don't know who's going to be the next coach. And that, I think, is a difficult part of this process is you've got to have the right guy in place. If you told me that you felt like at some point Brent Venables was going to win a national title, if you thought Brent Venables was going to win a national title at Oklahoma because of, whatever buy-in you have with Brent, which you rightfully so, then I can't disagree with it because the man he came to Clemson, and as much as you feel like Chad Morris changed the offense and Tony Elliott and Jeff Scott, all the success, like the one common factor there was how quickly Brent Venables progressed this defense to the point of being so ridiculously good that you could hand the ball off to Wes Goodwin, who was apparently one of Venables' right-hand men and kind of saw things that maybe Brent didn't always see or help Brent connect some dots. handed off to him, and hardly not one of you has hardly batted your eye about that fact. Now, I have been committed to my look. One brick doesn't make a house, and the win over Iowa State in the Cheez-It Bowl was good, but there was a win over Iowa State in the Cheez-It Bowl. So I'm anxious to see 8, 10, 12 games under Wes Goodwin and what it looks like. The one thing I do think we're seeing shape up, and I've talked about this a little bit, so if you've heard this, great. If you haven't, welcome. I think, they talk about simplifying this defense to a degree. And I don't have the same mind for the game that maybe a Nick Saban or a Brent Venables or a Wes Goodwin has for it. But I can't help but think that part of the simplification of this defense is coming down to the fact that we've seen this shift from Trenton Simpson to that weak side linebacker spot from that nickel hybrid position where he played, only to have Barrett Carter slide in as that nickel hybrid guy. And I just wonder if those two pieces aren't some way, in some respects, going to be a little bit interchangeable in what they're doing, thus making maybe some shifts and some things that you have to do for alignments, matchup purposes. Maybe those things become not something that's obsolete. You're certainly still going to have to maybe do a little bit of that, but maybe you can minimize some of that stuff, and you can maybe mix it up a little bit and throw some different looks without having to, quote unquote, throw some different looks. Does that make sense what I'm saying? 803-450-0086. If you tried to give us a call, it went right to voicemail. Let me know. I want to make sure we're getting the calls in. Again, we also want to make sure we encourage you to follow us on social media, on Twitter, at Clemson Sports, the same on Instagram. Lots of really cool content up right now over on our Instagram feed, including a quote from Dabo Swinney on DJ Uiagalelei, where Swinney said on Uiagalelei's development, he's a high football IQ guy. He understands the game, according to Dabo Swinney. Really understands where to go with the ball, he said. You can tell he's worked really hard. He's very conscientious of his fundamentals. He's been hard on himself. He's been good. And so, again, I think if you are a Tiger fan, you got to put a lot of faith in DJ, but you hear Dabo Swinney talking about the former 5-star quarterback, and I think you have to have a positive feeling about DJ ahead of this year. Let his play determine how you feel about him. When we get back, I mentioned when the LIV Golf Tour came around that it might be a positive for the PGA Tour. An update that looks like your boy Swanee might not have been far off of that theory when we get back. Stay with us. What's up, everybody? Let me punch you through to a quick break, and then we'll get back at it. Rocking and rolling along with you on a Wednesday, the Hump Day edition. John Blau set to join us in hour number 2. 803-450-0086. So I said here on the program when we heard about Live Golf and the money that was going to flow in, the players that were leaving to play in it, the fact that it was shorter tournaments, 54 holes versus 72. The fact that they were going to have shotgun starts so that there's a pairing starting essentially on every hole. So that a golf tournament, instead of lasting a 7-hour, 8-hour day, or however long some of these golf tournaments last now, you can have a golf tournament last 3.5 hours, maybe less, depending on how good these guys are playing. It's a round, I should say, per round, right? I mean, it's brilliant for the golfers. The time that you have to be at an event, better. And you can talk about the money, where it's coming from, and that side of Live Golf Tour. And that's a different, more political conversation. I'm simply talking about the concept of what they want to do. Like if we looked at something as simplistic as a whiteboard eraser, pair of scissors, a water bottle, and said, how can we make it better? Well, to me, the Live Golf Tour for golf fans presented some ways to make this sport better. And there was a time in this sport's history where Tiger Woods elevated it for a younger generation. Tiger Woods is 45, 46 years old now. He's not elevating it for a younger generation. Tiger Woods has become, for a lot of you, Tiger Woods is kind of like your Jack Nicklaus. Now you just, can he do it in his old age? Can he bring home a green jacket again? Can he match Nicklaus, his all-time wins mark in major championships? Like Tiger has become less about bringing in the youth and more about keeping you involved because he's been your guy. Changed the face of the sport. Well, Live Golf comes in and they change the sport as well. And the PGA Tour has responded, along with two ranking members who have stayed with the PGA Tour, in Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy. So first off, let's start with the PGA Tour. So the PGA Tour golfers have committed to play more events, the top golfers, 12 tournaments, will have purses between $15 and $20 million. That news was announced earlier today. The commitment from the players comes after a players-only meeting that Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy hosted last week at the BMW Championships to try to rally the top players in the PGA Tour during its fight against that Live Golf Tour that we mentioned. McIlroy saying earlier today, we've all made a commitment to get together more often to make the product more compelling. I don't have a crystal ball, but I think everyone in that room felt like this is the best way to move forward. Again, improving the product, increasing the purses, getting more guys involved, keeping guys from going to the Live Golf Tour. These are all positives for the PGA Tour. Now, will it work? I don't know. I don't know that these purses are going to be enough to offset what Live is trying to do. And I did not see in the piece where the PGA Tour was going to be willing to adjust how they start tournaments. And quite frankly, even if you only did the shotgun start on Saturday and Sunday after you trimmed the tournament down, and I might make a further argument that you should trim every tournament, that cut line, make the cut line 36 people. If you're saying to yourself, why? Because 18 times 2 is 36. That's 2 golfers on every hole. If you say, well, how do we determine 36 if there's like a tie? So, you know what I'm saying? Like, like if we have two or three guys to push us to 39 or whatever, forget all that. Then come up with a tiebreaker. I mean, if the Atlantic Coast Conference can figure out a way to send, a four-way tie to the ACC championship, then doggone it, we can come up with a system where, okay, the guy who had a birdie most recently, and if it's 2 guys with the birdie, then back it up. Did either guy have an eagle? And like make it your criteria and eliminate guys and get it to 36. Shotgun start on Saturday and Sunday when you guys can watch. Then you've probably increased engagement, interactivity of the sport. Additionally, and I don't have but about a minute on this, so I do want to get to it. Tiger Woods and Rory launched a tech-infused golf league with virtual matches and primetime matches. The new TGL will feature 2-hour, 18-hole matches on a virtual course. And the matches will take place in primetime on Monday nights in a custom-made venue in a yet-to-be-determined location. The golfers will be playing in front of a live audience at arenas that will feature a simulator for longer shots in authentic green areas for chipping and putting. What did I say when the LIV Golf Tour came around? The PGA Tour would have to adjust. And it's been, like 4 or 5 months? And we are seeing some major adjustments. I hope they embrace my 36-man cut line adjustment. 803-450-0086. With a quick break, we'll bounce back into the world of college football when we return. Stick with us. I did it again. I left the stinking commercial break banner up. Sorry about that. All right. I got to punch you guys over for just a second to a quick commercial, okay? Or at least some music. rocking and rolling along with you here on a Wednesday afternoon. Clemson Sports Talk, Lawton Swan, 803-450-0086. Like, share, and subscribe. I remember when we were doing this show live all the time, right? We were doing it all the time live right here on YouTube and Twitter and Facebook, man. This room was rocking and rolling. So if you want to, you can call us 803-450-0086, or you can be a part of the program by texting us, chatting with us. And again, trying to get these hours in about for 50-some minutes. Those of you watching, John Blau coming up in hour 2. We'll drop this video feed and we'll pop up another one. And again, thank you for hanging out with us. Great article over on the website right now, our exclusive with Peter Woods. Get this. Alabama's star running back commits, Justice Haynes, called Peter Woods, Clemson's 5-star defensive lineman, a, quote, grown man after those two faced off this past weekend. Our very own Luke Winston was on the scene. We got the exclusive interview with Peter Woods and more from Peter Woods coming up in the next couple of weeks. Text line, phone line, always available to you. And if it's not working, please let me know. And if the video or audio gives you trouble, also, please let me know. Bible Belt Beauties in the house says, "Stop looking at me, Swan." The Savage Dog says, "Swanee, I don't think DJ will be the quarterback by the end of the season. Cade Klubnik will take it." Here's the thing. I'm buying in on DJ, and I'm in the minority. I think I truly am buying in on DJ, and I didn't like that he wasn't more confident at the ACC kickoff. I said that when we came back from our exclusive interview with him, our one-on-one with DJ, but I think that other guy that was the quarterback at Notre Dame is in there. And because of that, I expect him to play well this season. Speaking of quarterbacks playing well this season, Pittsburgh's named Kedon Slovis, the former Southern Cal transfer, as the starter. That news came out earlier today. Slovis obviously replacing Kenny Pickett, who has gone on and now will play for the Pittsburgh Steelers, which I didn't know this till I was watching the ACC Roadshow. Like, I knew that Pittsburgh, the Panthers, and the Steelers shared the same stadium. What I didn't know is they share the same practice facilities, and that the coaching staff, Narduzzi, said that occasionally he'll go over and talk with some of the coaches. Well, I don't know why the Steelers coach. Well, his name didn't just slip my mind, but I wanted to say Tomlinson, but I don't think that's it. I'm thinking LaDainian, right? Tomlinson. What is the guy's name? Tomlin. See, I knew it was something there. I want to say Tomlinson. I kept wanting to say LaDainian, the old running back. Mike Tomlin. So he would go over there and meet up with him sometimes. And he said one of the other kind of recruiting advantages of being in that same environment and sharing that facility is that players see the cars and the things that the pros drive. And, it makes his team focus a little bit more. Like, if you were Clemson and every day you went out to the practice field, here come all these Carolina Panther dudes rolling up in Ferraris and Lambos and whatever fancy cars people are driving these days. Some of you will say, "Swan, you've seen the price on the F-150 or a Chevy Tahoe?" That's expensive too. That's a good point. But all that being said, again, today, Pittsburgh announcing that Kedon Slovis will be their starting quarterback. He beat out redshirt senior Nick Patty for the job. Pickett, of course, landed Pitt in the ACC championship game, won it, fake slid. That rule changed. That moment changed the rules in college football moving forward. You cannot fake slide anymore. And then he didn't play in the Peach Bowl. That one's hard. That, like, if I am a Pitt fan today, and they got beat, mind you, by Michigan State. If my memory serves me correctly, it was Michigan State that beat them. If I had to be a Pittsburgh fan and I actually had to resolve that issue in my mind and my heart about Kenny Pickett, it would be incredibly difficult to do. Maybe if he had won a Heisman Trophy, I could overlook it. But he did not do that. Text line, phone line, be a part of the show anytime, any place, anywhere. Slovis named the starting quarterback for the Pitt Panthers. Text line and phone line always available. Feel free to give us a call. And if you do give us a call, let me know if it just sends you the voicemail or is it if it's working right, I will know. Trust me on that front. Coming up on the program, hour 2, we'll drop the live video feed. Hour 2, John Blau from the Post and Courier joins us on Clemson Sports Talk. Again, check out our website during the break. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. That information for the YouTube channel is scrolling below right now. With a quick break, we'll come back. Hour 2, John Blau, Post and Courier, joins us to dive into the latest news out of Tigertown right here on The People Show, Clemson Sports Talk. All right, guys, going to drop the feed here. We'll be back with John Blau in just a second.